clucking from London. Nice with his runnings though, hate too soon though, cause he might be your cousin.
Wifey was clucking for a slice of the loving. Up on her mind in her oven. What's going on, cousins? What's going on, mother lovers? Who's in the building so far? Yeah. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Something You Might Not Never Know Nothing About podcast right here with myself, MysDiggi. I got my brother DNA holding down the boards, looking after me right there. You know what I mean? Making sure you lot see the glistening forehead. You hear the voice of chocolate velvet cake. That's right. If you slice a chocolate velvet cake open, this is the voice you might hear if it could ever talk, man. What's going on? Shout out to Charlie Zoot, Ollie K, Dan Madden. Yes, you caught up, brother. That's good to hear, man. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what time we should be doing this because I feel like a lot of you lot go to bed a bit earlier than, you know what I mean? You used to. Shout out to Black Einstein. Yes, bruv, what's going on? DJ Locke, little bro, what's going on? Scrappy Doo in the building. Yo. Yes, we got a new setup here, Dan. We just sorted it out now, so we got, obviously, as you can see, there's the green screen going on here.
Oh, wait, hold on. We haven't got the...
What have we not got?
We haven't got this.
We messed up again. There you go.
You
know what I mean? I like to take people into the blue planet, as you can see here.
It's a bit of a weird... I've got to just adjust the green screen. Hold on.
Yeah, it's all good, though. Check, look, let me at him. Yeah, man, so we're sorting out bits and bobs as we go along, man. And as I said from the beginning, you know what I mean, we appreciate you lot locking in and watching us make this thing, turn this thing into something professional. Because this, you know, people have been telling me to do this for a while, but it's only now we thought, okay, we actually, let's try it out now. Dan got a few toys in and, you know, we thought we might as well play around with them. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we're going to try and keep this thing, you know what I mean, something special, hopefully get some guests that you lot want to hear from. Also thinking about doing some live stuff as well because we got a nice little setup here in terms of studio. So it would be nice to, you know, turn it into something extra special. So, yeah, do the thing that people are meant to do when they tune in. Like, subscribe, share, you know what I mean? So we can get this worldwide. I'm going to, obviously, you know, I've got a few friends in the scene, so I'm going to catch up with a few of them online so we can have a few conversations. You know, people have got music coming out, as well as just a good catch-up, man, because obviously, you know, like how it's been the last, we want to say the last year, but it's really the last 16 months now, something like that, 14, 15 months, you know what I mean? I ain't really got to see people. I feel like the only time I've seen people is at a video shoot. That's it, like in terms of the scene. Like I've been out and seen, you know, family and friends and whatnot, but in terms of the scene, where usually you might cross paths here and there, you know.
Every Saturday.
Somewhere. Yeah. But now it's like...
At least once a month used to be somewhere.
Yeah. Standard, man. Standard. Now it's just that video shoot. Like, yo, bruv, it's so good to see. People are so happy to see someone else, man. It's hilarious. But, you know, c'est la vie. As they say, c'est la vie. So what's that? Phil saying he might sneak a fag break in. Chocolate milk calms the... Hey, okay, a little bit of chocolate milk, you know what I'm saying? Well, with me, with all this chocolate, I ain't got to do all that, you know? That was whacking it. All right. Yeah, man. So, yeah, we're keeping it going. This week, though, I want to touch on... You know what I mean? It's obviously, everyone knows it's been a bit mad out here with all this that's going on. And the light has been shone not only on this glistening forehead, but on a lot of ways of life, ways of thinking that, you know, have really come to light in a sense of you didn't think your friends thought this way or you didn't think people thought this way about certain things. And so, you know, for me, obviously, like, I was outspoken about how I felt about the situation, but I don't think a lot of people appreciated it because they haven't gone through what I've gone through. They haven't seen what I've seen. They ain't read what I've read, watched that, listened to what I've listened to. You know, they haven't basically lived the life I have in order for me to feel this way or have this type of view. And like, I got into it back and forth with a few people. A few people you lot would know, man. I ain't gonna put them on blast, but it was like I could never really get my head around like, right, how can you not see things in someone else's way? Why have you just got to name them whatever you want to name them? Whatever the trendy name is now to call people that might look at things in a different way. Why would you do that instead of asking like, why do you? Can you send me some stuff I could look at to see? Throughout all this whole year and a half, I feel like 2 people have asked me for some information that why I would be speaking this way, which I think is ridiculous. It's like, bruv, if you're lost, especially now how it feels like a lot of people are still lost. They still don't know what's going on. It's worse for like, imagine people who are out there trying to, say, oh, don't do this and don't touch that. But even they ain't got the answers if people ask them, were there to ask them, why do you feel that way? They wouldn't have definitive, strong enough answers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, I feel like it's important for you to be able to back what you're saying. Don't just put it out there and for people to be like, bruv, why? What are you talking about? Like, you chatting shit and you, like, no, how am I chatting shit? And they'll be like, well, A plus B plus C just doesn't make sense. You got it all mixed up. And you ain't got no answers. Exactly. Ollie K says, conspiracy theorist. It gets thrown around a lot. Very fucking true. Conspiracy theorist. Mm-hmm. Let's break that down then, innit? Conspiracy, what does that mean? That means 2 or more people planning something.
Yeah. It means to breathe together. To
conspire
with the same breath.
Yeah. Conspire as opposed to inspire.
Yeah.
Which is funny though, isn't it? So to conspire, like that's essentially, it's like 2 people or more meeting up and exchanging ideas on something. Yeah. And then the theory is so if you theorize about something, you're basically thinking about it. You're pondering on it, you're wondering whether, and so that's what that means, but somehow they've turned it into you're this crazy tinfoil hat and you believe that the flat earth and just things to make people look at you and think, oh, you're dumb. And it's the perfect way to turn people off of anything you're saying, to make you feel like, oh, maybe I am a bit crazy, maybe shit, I shouldn't think like that because everybody's laughing at me. It's the perfect way to do that. So big up to the people out there that are staying strong, that are standing firm, that, are sticking to their word. And even bigger big up to the people that are out there actually making sure that their word is bond, like as in doing the research, whether it be, don't just be there listening to people and believe what they say, check to make sure what they're saying is factual, because there might come a point where you're going to be the light shone on you and you won't know how to respond. You know what I mean? Shout out to Yemar. Did I say that right? I think, hey, I know she might be pissed off, boy. If we don't get it right. He's saying USA forming was conspiracy. Yeah, apparently conspiracy theory came from the CIA, innit? Or something like that.
Yeah.
One of them ABCs, you know what I'm saying? DEGs, whatever they are. So now you got everyone throwing it around. Just like you got the word anti-vaxxer.
Anti-craxer.
Anti-quaxer. Yeah? We've got to slang it up just in case these lot try to lock us off. They try decapitate us. Take our heads off. Yeah, you got all that. And this is the thing about that, is that as soon as you hear that word, you're meant to feel like, oh, okay, this guy don't know what they're chatting about, or they're just some conspiracy theorist, but do they ever ask, why do they feel that way? Like, what's the reason for them to, and do they give themselves the correct type of answer, or is it still of that nature of, oh, they're mad, they don't know what they're talking about. It's like...
But the word itself is a weaponized word because it's anti, which anti usually means that the pro version is the one that's right, don't it? So they have this thing. Yeah, but that's an old word before the weapons came about. Now they use language as a weapon in that sort of like anti something means that the pro something
It's
is the
against.
main one, because they don't name it. They don't go pro-vax. They just go vax or normal.
Quacks.
They just call you normal if you are pro-quack. But if you're against quacks, then you're anti something, which anti usually isn't a good place to be, is it? You know?
Unless it's your aunties.
Yeah, unless
She's
it's
giving
actually
you some
anti.
tea and
Yeah.
Eccleston cake. Whenever
Yeah.
I used to go to the aunties, I used to go for some tea and Eccleston cake. I loved it. Yeah, and sometimes we went for dinner. It was liver and onions. Ooh.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well,
If you're anti.
either way, like,
But it's the same with conspiracy theory. Is that they're like saying that the conspiracy is only a theory.
yeah. That's what they think it
You know,
means.
so it's like this weaponized,
It's just like-
and they're all CIA words. They're all like words that are made in Tavistock
to
or
throw you off, innit?
in the CIA or something.
Yeah,
to-
man.
They're weaponized. They're words that they invent to actually that you can use as weapons against people.
To throw people off, yeah.
You know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
so they'll say like with like what's the two phrases they use for abortion? The abortion argument. One's like
Family
pro-choice.
planning. Oh, yeah.
It's like pro-choice.
Mm,
It's like implying that you're anti-choice
yeah,
if you're against
yeah.
one thing. You know, so
Someone
they've got
not getting a choice. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But so that's why I appreciate the fact that there are people out there that can see through the inversion. Not everybody's
That's
built
right.
to see it. And I believe it's through experiences. It's whether you might be closer to source, you might be closer to nature in terms of like you have that intuition. Like I feel like there's people like Locke. I feel like Locke's got that intuition. He might not know it, but there's things that he'll say where it's like you can sense more than you realize. You know what I mean? And there's you see it in children because they haven't been tainted with what the world is. So you see a lot more of that. Where they're not as warped and been taught to do this and that, and you look in the mirror and you look at your identity and you're this and you're that, and then they get lost in all of that and they lose that. Whereas people with more of a youthful vibe, that, do you know what I mean? It kind of emanate that, you know what I mean? Nature of like, right, you have a bit more intuition. You got the same thing. There's a bit more intuition there that you are not too afraid to rely on. Whereas people, it's like they get numbed from that and then they're walking dead. They become zombies. Where if you say something like, something doesn't feel right in this room, man. It feels a bit weird in this room, don't you think? They just look at you like, what the fuck are you talking about?
There's a phrase, isn't there, from I can't remember the whole phrase. I'm just trying to look at it now. But it's from the King James Bible, and it's out of the mouth of babes and sucklings hast thou ordained strength. But that people use out of the mouths of babes as a way of like, young people always, or children can always spot the truth.
Yeah.
So like they'll say something like the famous story of the Emperor's New Clothes.
Yeah,
You know what I mean, that man's not wearing clothes.
It's just the kid who didn't care what everyone else thought.
Yeah.
The kid didn't care that everyone else was like,
They were brainwashed.
Yes, he's wearing clothes. He's looking around like, are these not crazy or what? Like, he's naked, man. Because he's not brainwashed. He hasn't been...
He hasn't got consensus reality.
Yeah, exactly that. The consensus reality, the feeling of like, it'll be a bit weird if I, I probably shouldn't do that because it's, the authority is saying not to do that, so I better not do that. He's like, nah. And then there's a few people that have it, but don't realize there are people that have it and do rely on it. And I think, that's beautiful, man. And more people are seeing it come to fruition, I think, now, because you probably locked off from TV and, all the bullshit in a way. There's enough people now that I chat to. Shout to Jay, who are like, yo, I can't, and, football, like, bruv, I don't even want to talk about it anymore. They were into it heavy, but now with all that's happened, you're like, yo, this is just a distraction. This is like EastEnders with, you know what I mean, shorts and T-shirt and a ball. Like, you know what I mean? There's just always some kind of drama that has nothing really to do with the game. That you seem to be compelled to find out what's going on next. And after a while, you're like, yo, this is bollocks, man. So, yeah, it's interesting to see that. But at the same time, what for me, like I said the other week, was, I started to feel a bit, you know, I weren't really happy with, not to say like, I felt like it was anything to do with me, but at the same time, when people are kind of like that doing the virtue signaling thing of showing off that they just got quacked, and it's like, right, bruv, you know, if you're doing it, just do it. You don't have to make it a thing and now you're going to make people feel like, oh shit, maybe I should do it because, you know, like, yeah, the emperor does have clothes. You know what I mean? It's that sort of thing. And for someone like myself, you know, with what I've been through, like I would stress for people to make a really educated decision on it. Like, don't just because everyone else is saying it. Like, if you really look into this sort of stuff, you know, it's gonna be dark. It's not gonna be fun to see, but at the end of it, you're empowered with the knowledge. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think we're all here, really and truly, to gain as much knowledge as we can, because this is the world we live in. The perfect world would be we're happy not knowing anything. We just live. Yeah, that would be the perfect world, and we work our way up to high levels of, you know, of living, of spirituality and mentality, and you know what I mean, and physicality. But how it is now is we got to like dig our way out of this weird mess that the priest class have put us in. You know what I mean? How many thousands of years ago? You know, it's
interesting that they've been using the rainbow for a lot of things recently, isn't it? Because that's like in what's it called, Wizard of Oz. It's like, that's like, you know, the metaphor in the Wizard of Oz, and that's what we're trying to sort of all do, is get behind the curtain as well, you know. Not just somewhere over the rainbow.
Yeah. There are people that are like, oh, I just follow the rainbow because everybody had the rainbow, you know. Yeah. Oh, cracks, I feel all right. You all right? Yeah, I feel all right. You know what I mean? You know, the people where I love this term, the fluoride stare, man. I mean, who knows about the fluoride stare? Bruv, this shit is hilarious because you're chatting to people like, yeah, and this happened, and they're just staring like, and you realize like, oh yeah, you're not even prepared to open your mind, like, and let go.
No, they're just waiting for you to stop talking.
Yeah, because they just don't. They're lost,
they
man.
They can enjoy their fluoride high. Yeah. Just like, don't kill my vibe, man.
Bro, I'm looking to go on holiday next week, man. What do you mean? I'm just waiting for my second quack. jab, uppercut, bruv. Yeah, you don't carry on with your double jab. When the uppercut come, yeah, so, you know, it's tricky because obviously, and I'm sure quite a lot of people in the comments have gone through it, where it's like friends and family that you're slowly drifting apart in a way because of this thing that you both don't really agree on, which is a shame because there's so many other things we don't agree on, but we still get on. But then when it comes to this, there's a fear. It's like, oh, your brethren, now it's like your brethren's got a knife that you already might stab you in the back with, you know what I mean? Or your family, or there seems to be some visible weapon involved that they might die from now. Yeah. Even though they've got themselves protected from it. It's like, what the fuck like, what's going on in people's heads, man? This doesn't make sense, and there's a reason why it doesn't make sense. It's not meant to. You know what I mean? It's not meant to make sense. All you gotta know is there's nothing to worry about. They're trying to make you worry about shit, and that's what's really fucking you up. But all you really, you know, once you think deep enough, if you can be bothered, you'll realize, okay, this is all. And then you start to learn the language. Yeah. You know, there's before all of it, there's a thing called the green language, or the language of the birds, which they say sort of started in that sort of region, like Egypt or, you know, further up. And this was back in them, you know, Babylonian type days. And what they sussed is, you know, as long as we can communicate, no matter where we are in the world, as long as we can communicate these things with, you know, literature, and obviously later on it's becoming films and TV and whatnot. Yeah. And even sports as well. And in sports, as long as they can communicate whatever they want to say, then they could do it no matter what happens, though, regardless of And so they're kind of doing that. People that know, as I say, people, if you know, you know. People that know can see it. I don't know if any of them are really sussing out fully what, but it's quite obvious it's there. So there's this thing called the green language. And so you can see it in different languages now, like how, whether it's like the Krishna with Christ thing or, there's loads of different words that you can hear are linked up, like obviously the Israel thing, Israel, ISIS, Ra, El, and then with Ra you got rays, sun rays. So it's kind of like that, the phonetics and all these different things. They say that the Phoenicians started it. I'm not sure who, where, but yeah, it kind of makes sense. And so a lot of people communicate through that way. And once you start to see it, a lot of people will. When your mind's open, you ain't got the fluorides there. You start to see all this and you're like, right, these people are really doing this. And damn, they've been doing it for years. And then more or less like everything you can think of, nearly everything you can think of, that's like well known, like some kind of big disaster or, whatever it be. There's loads of different things that happen. And you find out like, wow, the language is in there as well. Like they are communicating with each other through all these things happening. And everyone's like, oh, this disaster that, and you're like, right, this thing's really big. Obviously, everyone knows about 9/11 and etc. So it's stuff like that. And so once you get to that sort of place of like, oh, I see the bullshit. I've got enough friends now that actually whether they go as deep as some of us go or not, they can see it. I mean, shout out to the Panda. There's people out there that I'm like, yeah, they're already seen it from way back. And a lot of it, I think, stems from either you've grown up in a way where you've had to have, you've always had to keep one eye open, or you've always had to be a couple steps ahead of people, whether it be family or the friends. I grew up with a lot of dodgy ass people, so a lot of working your brain on people, people are getting jerked for money left, right and center. So you always had to be about your wits, And so I think that helped a lot. And then also through trauma, like I think a lot of people can almost be away. It's almost like maybe you have some kind of trauma, it does some piercing or shattering of the, what the fluoride does to your pineal gland. Maybe that's what it is. And all of a sudden people wake up after some traumatic experience, a near-death type thing. You know what I mean? And so for me...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like either that or maybe you're of the nature where you're interested in learning things like in the occult world or things that people might not never know nothing about. Do you know what I mean? Which I think, and funnily enough, I feel like I fall into all them categories,
I've just always been really argumentative. Even as a kid. And so I just lean towards things that create arguments.
Yeah,
so that's
I hear that.
If someone tells me something, I have to go and check it in my own time. And then I'm like, the next time that thing comes up. So I've always got to have more and more. I've always been like it. I've always had to have more and more things to argue with, so more facts. So I've always been like, I wonder if that's true what they said, and then go and look it up, and then the next time, the thing you said, that's not really true. And it annoyed people at first, and I learned to control it a bit better as I got older, sort of thing. And it's not to be just contrary, because sometimes some people are telling you something, and you do have to listen. You can't just like disagree with everything everyone says all the time. You're just an arsehole. Yeah. So I learned to sort of just be like, oh, okay, right, that's interesting. That person says that. So...
And it's true, a wise man...
That's led me into a point... Yeah, go on.
Like a wise man knows he'll never know it all.
That's
you know what I mean?
Like Socrates or someone. And wisdom is knowing that you don't know everything. Yeah.
And also being content with that as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like... I think a problem for a lot of people, and this is like stems from the way we've been schooled anyway, is the whole system. When they took out these sort of real key parts to how humanity would be chill. We'd be cool with each other. We'd understand each other a lot more. And the classic liberal arts, which is like the trivium and the quadrivium. And so once they took them things out, you know, these things sort of, they like pathways to understanding literature. So you understanding the first part is the trivium, you're understanding grammar, then logic, then rhetoric. And it has to be in that order. You know, if you get it in any other order, it's all messed up. So that's basically the input, and then the processing, and then the output, you know. And then the next part is the quadrivium, which is like 4 parts to do with numbers, or I should say paths to do with numbers. So first you get numbers, which is arithmetic. Then you go to geometry. Then you move into, so geometry is numbers in space, and then you move into music, which is numbers in time, and then you move into cosmology, which is numbers in space and time. And with all this, like, it all sounds a bit like, what's that got to do with? But once you get into it, like I'm saying, there's a level of understanding to do with language, to do with all the numbers, that's a lot deeper, or I should say a lot higher, in terms of how you're understanding the way it works. Now because you go from the beginning all the way up to, and then you end up in cosmology where you're like, okay, shit, all of this has something to do with what's up there. And then you realize like, oh, wow, like they say, as above.
The Hermetic principle.
So below, you realize like, whoa. And then, so imagine if kids knew that, for instance, there was, the story is that there was an army, Prussian army. So early, like before it was Germany, it's called Prussia. And there's a Prussian army, and they taught them, you know, so the trivium, quadrivium, they would teach it to sort of the higher class or people that had a bit of money. And, you know, the slaves weren't taught it until they were free. They weren't allowed to be taught it until they were free. And so obviously when they're free, they learn it because they're like, yo, if everyone else is doing it, they seem to be like way more, you know, sort of mentally and spiritually and just aware of things than we are. We need to learn it. And so later on, and that's in the ancient times, but this is like, you know, a few, I guess like 300-400 years ago in Prussia, they taught the army the trivium and quadrivium. And so, like I'm saying, this helps you deal with, you get the
Analyzing
information,
the truth,
really analyzing it and using logic and reason. Like, so you're analyzing what you're being told to do, and then you're making you know, the equations, you're working out whatever, and then you come up with, okay, this is my plan with this is my idea on this. When they taught the army, and then they wanted to send them off to war, they was like, nah, man, we're not falling for that shit. But you're trying to tell us to do this because of this, but really, this, you know, they worked it out straight away. They're like, all the fallacies, basically, you know, there were all these ways that people can sort of manipulate you by giving you the idea. Like you were just mentioning, they give you the idea that it means this when really it means this, you know, like, and just word it in a way that can just throw you off. And they already sussed it. So from then, they were like, yo, we can't be teaching anymore with this trivium, quadrivium in the schools, bruv, because these lot are getting, like, they're getting on our level. Do you know what I mean? We don't need them on our level. And then bam, all across the world, they went over to America, took it out left, right, and center.
Yeah.
So now it's only in sort of private schools or, you know, schools that kind of appreciate that sort of wisdom. Or if you search for it, you know, you guys can look for it, man. The books are out there, and, you know, just make sure they're in that order, though. There are books out there that will tell you that it's the trivium, but they'll say grammar. No, they'll say logic, grammar, and rhetoric, which is the wrong order. You know, you can't process the thing before you get the thing. So, yeah. And then you start to notice that they do that in a lot of, there's many different ways that they throw people off of the scent. So you feel like you're learning, you know what I mean, the deep shit, but you're not. And it's even the same. Unfortunately, sorry if you're a Christian out there, but even in the churches, man, when they're reading the Bible out to you, that priest is reading the Bible to you, but he's reading it in different orders. He's not reading it from the beginning to end. He's going, right, now let's jump to Matthew, and then jump all the way back to something else from before that. And so you're not really getting the story in the way that you should, where you might understand it a bit better than how it's being presented to you. And so all these sort of things happen that throw people off. So it doesn't surprise me when we're seeing those fluoride stairs, you know what I mean? When you try to explain something.
Yeah.
Like a few people in the chat were talking about that. And what's worse is that it's pushing us apart. Like, I think that's the most heartbreaking thing about it, is that even you man are all quaxed up. You all, you know what I mean? You spent, has the definition changed or something? Because I thought you lot were safe. But then now you're all shook to be around, man. Like, what's going on here? Do you know what I mean? But obviously, they've been through that brainwash. Hey, they've been through that brainwash, yeah. Ow.
Oh, hang on.
Real talk. Real talk.
Can you hear it?
No. Look. You hear me with the real talk. You got to turn it up, innit? Yeah,
real
man.
Talk.
It's coming out, but we can't hear it for some reason.
Oh, is it? It's coming out.
Yeah.
You lot can hear that, yeah? Yeah, well, big up to the crew in the building, man. Appreciate you lot.
I know why we can't hear it. Hold on.
Ollie K says a lot of heads have been quaxed because they just want to go back to quote unquote normal or travel rather than the health reasons. That's the madness. Like, bruv, what I'm talking about for health reasons, like, really? It's just weird, man. The whole sort of premise behind it, and the acceptance is even stranger. But like we're talking about, not everybody looks into the things the way that they should, and they've been taught not to. They've been taught not to ask. They've been taught what to think, not how to think. You know what I mean? And now we're there. What can we do, man? You just got to drip feed them somehow. That's what I think. I'm not going to give up. Do you know what I mean? Charlie Zoot said, exactly, bro. We are all old enough to make decisions on our own bodies. I'm cool with people who take the quacks and people who decide not to. Exactly. Same thing, man. Like, if you want to, you want to. Personally, I'm a bit worried for people to do, but if you want to, if you feel safer, that's all I feel like. If you feel safer, if you feel better, I think, innit, it's better that way as opposed to you feel it and you feel, you're still sure. Yeah. Because now you put some shit into you, you don't know what's going to happen, but you're provoking the chance of it turning into something because of your
fear.
Your fear. The currency of control is fear, my friends. And yeah, do you know what I mean? And that's the thing, man. I trust the immune system personally because that's what I was given to make sure that I was safe. And let me lead into this now because...
Hold on 1 sec. We just got this for...
What's that? Is it birthday time for Yamor? Happy birthday, Yamor. Jeez. Right. She's with us, Of all the places you could be, you could have been anywhere you wanted to be in the world. And you're with us right here on the Something You Might Not Never Know Nothing About podcast. Happy birthday to Yamor. Yeah, you lot. They've probably done it already, innit? I missed out.
I don't know.
Wish Yamor happy birthday, please, crew. Shout to Reagantology. Yes, that's my bro right there. Easy J. Hadouken. Big up to the crew. He sorted out what do you call it? A profile. Yo, so yeah, man. Yeah, yes, Yamor. Happy birthday. Yeah, this streaming fun. This is fun, man. It's nice to get a community going. You know what I mean? Like, especially with like-minded people, man. I think that's what I felt has been missing. Like some people that I've been speaking to through direct messaging or face-to-face, I can feel like a lot of us are feeling slightly alone in our way of thinking. And I wonder where there's more people, but I wonder because they don't bother to look too much more into it, whether they, you know what I mean? They're on that weird sort of, I'm on the fence, but I'm not and kind of lost. And that's the worst. I think the worst thing out of all of it is how it's dealing with people, how people are dealing with it mentally. Because a few years ago there was an initiative to do with isolation. Throughout throughout the charity world, what they do is every 3 or 4 years or something like that, they switch the initiative, and all the that's why you get all the charities would be like, oh, Black Lives Matter, or all of them would be like, oh, Purple Punch Matters, or whatever. They all switch to something.
Donkeys.
Yeah, donkeys matter, And so they decide they want to switch to this initiative, and everyone agrees, and then a lot of funding will go towards that. And there was a time when the initiative was isolation. So it's the dealing with people that live on their own, that don't really get out and about, with elderly people that are on their own, and you know what I mean? You see the green language there? Like, so you already know this is how they look at it. Like, it's a problem and needs to be dealt with, and then bam, years later, they decide to make everyone have to go through that. Do you know what I mean? And we all know it's wrong, man. So I feel like in our community, especially, like any of the people out there that feel that they need to catch up and chat, just holler, man. Look, you see here, there are people here already like-minded. Shout out to Stamina MC. Yo, this is wicked. It's wicked getting, you know what I mean? You get to see at least see people's names anyway, so you can picture the face in your mind, in your mind's eye. In my mind's eye. This big ass eye here, shiny one. Yeah. So what I wanted to do was talk about, how it is for me, like where I'm at with it and why I'm where I'm at with it. One of the things I wanted to touch on, though, was when I was young, like we're talking about how kids are less, they've been less manipulated on that level where their intuition is there. When I was a kid, I never used to chat to anyone. My mum was a hairdresser, so she used to have loads of people come to the yard getting their hair done. And I didn't really, everyone was like, oh, he's so quiet. I'll be just there staring, stone face in the corner sometimes. And then, so it's to the point where my mum was like, right, is there something wrong? I don't know. And then she had a friend, one of the people that came around had a friend that, whose son was the same. Said, yeah, he doesn't talk either. He's just quiet. And what it was for me is I just felt like people were always bullshitting. I always felt like they weren't being themselves. Well, as I'm older, I understood.
Was you like sullen, a sullen child?
Because people come in, oh, Gavin, and you're just like, why, why the fuck is she going on all hype and like, you're not happy. I could feel how they really were. And so that's what it was. As I got older, I understood that. But at the time, I didn't know. So in the end, what Mum did, Mama Mice, shout out to Mama Mice, what she did was she took me to her friends, and they put me and the other kid in the room, and then we're just staring at each other, screw facing. And then all I remember saying to myself was, I don't want to be like him. Yeah, he just felt unhappy, and I was like, oh. And then from then, that's when MysDiggi was born, boy. That's when, after that, my mom was like, yo, you changed.
That was your trauma.
Yeah, that was, you know what I mean? It's like, yo, I don't want to be like that mother lover right there, boy. Like, he looks moody. He looks like he shit his pants right now and don't want to say shit about it. Fuck, I ain't trying to be like him. So, yeah. But, yeah, that was, that was an awakening moment. But my most awakening moment was when I showed them the neck piece.
Hold on.
It was when I got this. This is what we're going to go in about today.
Right. Just keep talking and I'll just get the image up. Hold on.
For all you mother lovers out there, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, I want you to think about this, yeah? I was about 17, 18, I think. I'd already done the rapping thing, you know what I mean, from when I was 13, 14, 15, and then getting into the jungle thing, like I was mentioned on one of the episodes with Transmission 1 and Rinse FM. And then after that kind of, I'm like, I just felt like people don't really want to hear what you're saying. They just hear bit of. Shout out to Stamina, man. People like him killing it out there. You know what I mean? Like he knew how to deal with it. But for me, I just felt like, maybe I want to try this rapping thing again. Maybe. And I remember going to, I think it was a Gravediggers event where I bumped into Skanky D Ashanti, who I was in a crew with, as a kid. And he was like, what are you doing here, man? I thought you was a jungle MC. I was like, nah, man, bruv, I'm back on it, man. I'm back on it. But what happened was I'd left Sainsbury's. I think I left Sainsbury's by then. And then I started doing this market research thing. And at the same time, I was like, yeah, because that I could do like part-time and then work on the music, hit the open mics and all that. And shout out to Mr. Green in the building. What's going on, bruv? And so I started doing that. And then I think that was the time when I got the... it must have been after that. But started doing that, market research, where you're on the phone, ringing up people and then just asking them bullshit questions or whatever. But you can pick the times when you're doing it, innit? You can pick what days you want to do and the hours and whatnot. So that was pretty cushy. And then come this time where I'm getting this like backache. I'm getting this kind of backache, it's like shoulder blade area. I'm like, right, this ain't, this ain't feeling too. But I'm like, all right, let me just. But then it carried on, and I got to a point where I was like, right, let me go to doctors. Yeah, I need to get some physiotherapy, man. See, for even back then I was on it. I was like, yeah, I need to get some physiotherapy. He's like, nah, you need to take this ibuprofen. I was like, nah, I want the physiotherapy. These times I weren't even that clued up on anything, but I knew I'd prefer to do that because I just felt like, it's just something I need to sort out. He's like, nah, you have to do a course of these ibuprofen, and then if that doesn't work, we'll put you on physiotherapy. And imagine ibuprofen is basically just numbing your pain. Yeah. It's not sorting out anything. It's just numbing the pain. But you don't know that.
And also, put taxing your, kidneys and all the rest of it. It's like...
Well,
you don't realise.
You don't know all that. Yeah. 3 months of that shit.
Yeah.
It got to a point where I was like driving and then, I just feel this like my gut. And then lo and behold, like you said, it burns your stomach lining. Mm-hmm. I didn't know none of that though. No. I'm just a teenager just trying to live, you know what I mean? Thinking, yeah, I might try this rapping thing. This is happening. You're getting sweats because you're popping 2 ibuprofen every 3-4 hours or whatever. So anyway, course is done now. And I'm like, yo, bruv, this ain't working. All right, we'll sort out the physiotherapy. Then got to a point where, I've got, like I said, I've got the sweats in it. And I'm driving now. I was with this girl, and she's like, she's in the passenger seat. I'm turning. She goes, oh, what's that on your neck? I was like, what do you mean? She goes, oh, you got a big lump on your neck. I was like, is it? Checked. I was like, oh, shit. We felt like, right, what the fuck is this? That type of lump where you never, but I never checked that area to, So I'm like, right, that's mad. I've got this lump. Okay. All right, let me go to doctors, man, because, you know what I mean? Like a dickhead. Let me go to doctors. Doctor sees it, checks. Okay, it's just the lump. All right, here, take these and we'll be gone in a few weeks. Okay, cool. Is this all right with the ibuprofen? Yeah. He's like, all right. Cool. And then, doc, a few weeks has gone by. Boy, yeah, it's still there, man. Yeah, and now my voice is, it's a bit like this, but I'm just thinking, I got a little bit of a sore throat, Sweats is from the ibuprofen, innit? So, go back. Doc, it's still there. All right, let me check. It's not cancer. Okay, take these. It should be gone in a few weeks. And, by now I'm like, okay, a few weeks. All right, you do the course, but I probably left it another couple weeks because I'm just living life, just getting on with it. All right, go back. Doc, it ain't gone nowhere. So he sends me to the hospital now. So I see a doctor in a hospital, whatever that means. I don't know if that's meant to mean
You've gone up one
I've
level.
stepped up, bruv. You know what I mean?
You're a next boss.
Hop out the whip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You managed to
That's
befuddle the doctor, so now you move into
step
the
like,
next stage.
bruv.
He's a general practitioner.
hospital.
Now you're moving into specialist practitioner.
Specialist, yeah. Specialist. All right, so just jump in to see the specialist. What does the specialist do? Guess what the specialist says? It's not cancer. Take a few of these. Should be gone in a few weeks. I ain't got no reason to lie to you lot. You know what I mean? So now I'm like, right, okay. Yeah, well, hopefully it should be gone because that was like, she's the specialist doctor, so she knows what she's talking about. She said it ain't cancer. You're good, bruv. Don't, you know what I mean? Carry on. So now, easily, you know, like maybe 3-4 months has gone by. I'm doing the physio. You know, now I managed to get physio appointments and I'm doing that. And, she, you know, she's trying to sort it out. She's like, yeah, it's this joint here and whatnot. But this thing's getting worse now. This thing's getting to the point where I sound like I'm breathing when I'm snoring. You know, mum's getting worried. Like I'm sweating a lot. The lump, basically, because it's on this side, you know, when I turn like this, you know, you can hear my voice. You know, but I'm young. I'm still cool. I'm not really stressing over it, like thinking anything. But it got to the point where Mum and Mice was like, yo, all right, we can't fuck around now. These doctors don't know what they're talking about. So I'm lucky. Shout out to Cuz. He might be locked in, but my cousin's mum, so my auntie, she came round. She worked at a hospital and she said, look, let's send him to ear, nose and throat. Let's go and check him out, get him checked out there. Ear, nose and throat is where they obviously check those areas. And with me, what they decided was they'll spray some, you know, juice up the nose, some juice down the throat, I guess to numb it up and whatnot. And then they're going to put a camera down to see what's going on because they can see like, yeah, something's happening. Bam, do that. They're like, yo, take it out. They're like, all right, we got to operate now. I'm like, why? What's going on? Oh, his windpipe is closing. So that's why my voice is all going like that. And when I turn this way, you know, then my voice is all right. It's because this lump is pushing in on my windpipe and closing it. It's like, yo, okay. Hours later, I wake up and that scar you see there on the neck, that's from the tracheostomy. Yeah, I had to have. So you wake up with, you know, plastic sewn to your neck and there's a hole there and then you're like, you're trying to cough, but it only coughs to that point because no air could go up. So you can't hear you either. So you try and talk. They go, don't talk. As you start coughing.
Do you not even get to talk in one of them, one of them voice box things?
Nah, because there's no. But that's why they have that, is because the air's coming out from that area, which is, so they call it a tracheostomy. And what it does is enable you to breathe properly if you're having problems.
If you've got a blocked
up there.
airway,
Yeah. So because of that lump, I had the blocked airway. And so this time I spent the first 2 weeks in the hospital. And basically they're trying to work out what the lump was for the first, for the first week and a half, I'd say. They were trying to work out what it was. So imagine, man, you know, I'm like, yo, want to do this rap thing, then bam, this happens. And you're like, yo, your voice. You know, they said, don't talk. Okay, what do? You have to write. Here's a piece of paper. Here's a pad and a pen. You're going to have to write down
and
everything.
it has to rhyme.
that would have been the ultimate training ground, boy. You cannot say nothing. You have to write it down. And it has to rhyme, boy, yeah. Shout out to Brandon in the building. And so the first week was madness because obviously I'm trying to get used to this thing, pardon me, which entails, for one, breathing through your neck, remembering you can't talk, so you don't try to talk, obviously not moving around too much. But what happens, because it's an open wound, and like the body naturally likes to do or wants to do or is designed to do, it tries to protect. So your open wound is here, and so your lungs are like really open to some, they're not getting, like your nose is your natural pathway because it's a lot smaller, and there are hairs there as well that stop any, harshness getting through dust or whatever, like cold air and all that sort of stuff. So, but this is like bang open. And so you're breathing through that. And what happens is you start getting a lot of mucus trying to protect the lungs. Bruv, when that happens, and this is what I'm saying, like, yo, when you go through this, anything else is like, whatever, bruv, chop my arm off, go on, like, whatever. Imagine, as soon as you start breathing, when you got a cold or whatever and you got, your chest is all, wheezy, it's like that. But you can't cough it up. You don't really know how to, because it's just, you're only breathing through your neck. So you don't really know. So what you got to do, I had to like press this button, and then the nurses will come, and then they put these like long, thin tubes down this fucking thing into your lungs, bruv, and suck all the, and as they're doing that, the shit is tickling your shit, your lungs, and then you're puking up at the same time because it's all just... Bruv.
It's not as nice as it sounds. People think, oh, I wouldn't have to cough. I'd have someone suck the cough out of my throat for me, but nah.
Bruv,
it's not as nice
and
as
that
you
would
think
happen, it would happen like about 3 or 4 times a day. Would you say it's not nice as well?
It's not as nice as people might think it. Oh, it'd be lovely to lay around and have someone suck the phlegm out your throat for you, so you'd have to cough it up. Nah, it's not that nice. The technology's not
because
there.
the shit is tickling up your... Oh, man. So you're just thinking about it as it's happening. You're like, yo. And so, all right, so they did that. And that was like tough, man. That was pretty tough because, you know what I mean? You're not looking forward to it, but you know it's going to happen. So keep that in mind, yeah? So through the first week, they're trying to work out why this lump is, because they're like, yeah, it's not a cancerous lump, but they know there's some juice in there. There's something going on, and they don't know why, so they need to try and work it out, do all their tests and whatnot. Obviously, I wasn't going to be doing no more physiotherapy, so I still had that there. But at first, when you're in a hospital, man, it's like, come on, bruv. You're going to put me like dead opposite all these other people that are mad sick. Like, how am I meant to feel any better? How am I meant to better my situation by looking at this dude? You always get that one old dude. He's like, yo, you're just waiting for that call, boy. Yeah. Had to do that. Best thing you can do is keep the curtains drawn and all that. So I did that as much as I could. But then, and then going through every day, I was eating, I could only eat pureed food, like mainly like yogurt and stuff like that. But it wasn't, I couldn't really keep it down as much. And then they were like, okay, we're not sure what it is, but we have a rough idea. You're going to have to take these tablets. Okay, I was like, cool. When I see the tablets, bruv, and I took them out of the thing, I was like, what, all of these? I was like, yeah. I was putting it out, it's 13 tablets. When I poured it into my hand, it's 13 tablets. I was like, really? But you don't know nothing, innit? So I'm just like, all right, back them. I forgot to add though, before I backed them, they said to me, there's a possibility that you could become colorblind from these. So I had to deal with that. And I didn't know, you know what I mean? Young, dumb mice. I didn't know what colorblind meant. I thought that when I opened my eyes, everything would be black and white. So I was expecting that to happen every time I opened my eyes, getting some sleep. But it didn't happen. But anyway, carrying on. I could only eat yogurt. I tried like things like, gravy and things like that. But what was happening, they were weighing me every day and I was just losing weight. Even though I was trying to keep things down and whatnot, it weren't happening. And so they got to a point where they're like, okay, we've got a feeling that it might be this, but we're not sure. But just in case, we're going to put you in your own room. Lucky me, they put me in isolation, got my own room, got a TV, own toilet, So I didn't have to watch the old men, them like coughing and farting all over the place at the same time. So that was pretty cool. And it was handy as well. Like I remember watching a documentary, a Muhammad Ali documentary, which was quite inspiring and put me in that mode of like, yo, if you get through this, like you're going to go for it. You're going to do this rap thing. And so like that's, you know, like I said to people before, for me, I was more, when I got into the, you know, this UK hip hop world and started making music with people, I was like, I'm just happy to be here. You know what I mean? I'm happy to still be alive, and finally I get to do this thing called rapping, and I'm just perform whatever. So that was my attitude. I think that's what helped in terms of getting me, you know, like recognition, and also like a lot more sort of, what's the word? I seem to, in the matter of 2-3 years or something, jumped up into people, felt like I was on par with Black Twang and Ty and people like that, who for me was like, they're my elders. They're people that when I was, you know, learning how to get this thing together were like, yo, okay. You know, so man, like to get that sort of response was crazy, but it was my attitude. I wasn't here like, yo, man, people don't feel me. I was here like, yo, life is crazy. You know, just get people wild and excited about life, man. So, you know, the first week sitting in there, I think I was, yeah, man, I was lucky, put it that way. I was very lucky that I got to do that. But what happened, there was one time where, you know, it was time for suction. It was like, yo, what happens is you feel wheezing. Literally, it's like you, all of a sudden, you just get this feeling of like, you know, like, oh, my lungs are starting to fill up with this thing. And so as soon as it gets to, if you leave it too long, you just want to coughing up and, you know, feeling like you're choking kind of thing. Yeah. So you got to press this button, they come in. So that was happening during the week. It was cool. And this was the second week now, yeah. They'd already drawn out, they tried to draw out some of the juice. And what happened was it got even bigger. And then they tried to strap it down, the lump on my neck. They tried to draw out the juice, and it got even bigger. And then they tried to like strap it, so to try and stop it growing or something. I don't know. But I think they started to figure out that this is probably what they think it is, but they just couldn't work out how it happened because, yeah, I'll get to that bit. But anyway, now wheezing starts happening. All right, press the button. Cool. Nurse comes. She's like, oh, the door's jammed. The door's jammed. Kevin, could you come and open the door, please? I'm all frail, you know what I mean? Looking like a cracked out Skeletor. Lift up, you know, you got to grab your bag thing and walk around to the door. And I'm trying to open the door, all mad weak. And I was like, nah, I'm too weak. But I couldn't even open it. Bruv, so I'm weak. Yeah. And I'm there wheezing. Bro, I had to just go onto the bed and just like meditate. You know, when you like, calm down, just calm down. In the end, minutes later was when the firemen had to come and bust the door down. Yo! So that shit just taught me like some fortitude, mental fortitude. You know, I've been through stuff already to deal with that, but that was on another level because I was so used to, oh, it's going to start happening, and then press the button and then they sort it out. But so after that, they were like, okay, we're going to teach you how to do it yourself, just in case that ever happens again. And so they taught me this exercise of bringing up the phlegm and then kind of just, yeah. So I could spit through my neck if I had to. If I had to spit bars through my neck, God forbid, for, you know what I mean? They tried to decapitate me for this damn video here. Yeah, boy. And so in the end, I think, someone got it right. In the end, they said to me, right, we think we know what it is. And they were like, it's TB. And so they worked out, okay, we better give you these are the, you know, this is the course we need to put you on. And at that time, I think they said it would take, it would usually take like 2.5 years or something like that for this course. So you're on this shit, getting rid of it for that long. But I think for me, it ended up being like a year and a half. I was on, the tablets, which it boiled down to just 3 tablets I had to take. So, yeah, that was a madness. But that was the first 2 weeks of it. And basically, they let me go home. In the end, I started like being able to get food, down in the last sort of week. The last week. And just drinking shakes and all that and doing, whatever I could to kind of get some form of strength back. But the main thing was like, like, if I get through this, I'm going. So when I got home, it was just like, right. And it was wicked, man. Like all my friends that came to visit, some of them fainted, like girls that I hadn't seen for ages coming and, crying. And you just realize like, wow, you're loved by these people that even you might not even have seen them for some time. Do you know what I mean? And so it kind of brought, and then there were people that I'd been hanging around with of recent that didn't come around. But then friends would say, I heard from so-and-so that you were ill, so I came to visit. And shit like that. So it put a lot of that stuff into perspective, like who matters, what matters, why. Do you know what I mean? All these different things that really helped me in later life and whatnot.
Bet you wish you'd had a mixtape, bro.
You know what's funny, man? I'll tell you what.
In the hospital.
Yeah. I could have put out, I'd have got platinum off that.
You're not going to leave now, are you, without buying my mixtape?
You know what's funny is that Through the Wire song.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I should, someone said I should do a track, and I was like, man, that's corny shit, man. I'm do a track about me, dude. And then I remember hearing Through the Wire, and I was like, maybe I should. Yeah. But so that was the first 2 weeks of madness. I think I was lucky that because I was so young that I didn't. Not that I didn't take it serious, but I didn't take it as serious as, oh shit, this could, And I think maybe stuff that I've been through, like my out there days, high adrenaline, doing crazy shit that you learn to be calm in certain situations. And I think so. I never looked at it as I was on my deathbed, but apparently that's what, when friends were coming in, they said that you nearly died. They said this, they said that. They never told me that. Yeah. And probably I'm glad they didn't, because I might have had a different mindset. Do you know what I mean? And now, man, you lot don't be. You know what I mean? We're here, man. Yeah. This is like, for me to get this out there is. I hope people can learn from it. Do you know what I mean? This is the only way that we can really get an idea of what's going on, and it feel compelling to us in terms of like, we don't just believe it, we know it. Like for me, I know is when you've gone, either you've seen it face to face or you've gone through it, like we've said before. And I know a lot of people haven't gone through this shit, so they don't see all of this like I do. For me, I think people are nuts the way they're just willy-nilly and responding in the way that they do. But like, we've worked out that's the problem.
So Mr. Green's saying, so wait, TB causes a growth. So what was the growth? Did they work out what the growth was?
Yeah, the growth was TB. Let's pop up what TB is on the screen. Yeah,
is that the other?
Yeah, that's just the NHS.
Okay, hold on.
And this is the thing. You know what I mean? For me, I had to end up working the shit out myself by asking the questions that I felt were relevant. And even if I wasn't getting the answers, I wasn't getting straight answers, that was enough for me to know that something dodgy is going on. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That was enough for me to know something dodgy is going on. So it carries on. Basically, I'm going back for checkups now because they don't really understand how this growth of TB is in the neck. They're baffled as to how this should be the case, because I think it says it up there, but it's a respiratory problem. It's something that floats through the air and people catch it. And, so when I was going for checkups, there are loads of people from, like a lot of people from countries where they say, yeah, it's high levels there, a lot of people coughing and whatnot. And I was always sitting there thinking, how does that work then? How do you catch it in a gland? Because that's what basically happened, is I had a swollen gland.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so it was just like, this, you know what I mean? I don't really get how it would be caught in the lungs and then turn into some kind of growth in the gland. Usually it would be you're coughing it out and somebody else can catch it now, innit? But it was never that. What they would do was give me MRI scans, and it would, you go in there for about 20 minutes, they'd, check on things, and then they'd say, yes, okay, we'll come back. I think I'd go every week or every 2 weeks or something like that. And then this one time, so there was a professor that I was seeing, I can't remember his proper name, and they asked if they could take pictures for BBC, and, there was all this shit going on, which was making it obvious that this is something new. This is novel. This is something they might not never have known nothing about, basically. And so they were like, I remember going in for the MRI scan. Usually it would just be him and maybe one or two other nurses or whatever, and the operator. But this time was like a few people. This was like, oh, okay. And they're all in this room, obviously staying away from getting any fucking radiation. You know what I'm saying? Fucking, it's nuts, D. They're staying away from getting any radiation, yeah? And like I said, I usually go in for 20 minutes. This time, I went in, fell asleep, came out. When I looked at the clock, I was in there for 40, 45 minutes. And I was like, They came rushing in. Kevin, can you lay on? Yeah, they brought in a trolley, one of those that people lay on, the beds.
Gurney.
Yeah, whatever you call them. Brought one in and said, can you get on here? You need to lay down. I was like, what? They said, oh, we're going to check you back in again. And then they got the stick out and got my feet, and they were like, "Oh, can you feel this?" They
testing your reflexes.
Yeah, testing to see it. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Well, what's going on? They said that, oh, your neck, the vertebrae in your neck, has kind of dislodged, and basically TB is like acid on the bone. So what they've noticed is that your neck is not connected the way it should be. And then we found out that was the reason I was getting backache. So this thing has already been going on. Well, yeah, it felt like that, this thing has been going on for some time, and it obviously linked to this backache. So the backache is telling me there's something going on, there's something wrong. But I'm thinking, I've just got to sort out, there's some joint problem here, or I don't know what. And then obviously, me taking more of, all of this ibuprofen and just putting all this poison inside me is provoking this thing now to turn into something even more. It's trying to get out. It's trying to get itself out of me, because there's more shit been put in me. So it's so you could see now, hopefully people can understand now.
Your lymph nodes trying to detox.
Exactly, trying to detox. But lo and behold, they're like, "Yo, take more here. Take this to stop that from doing."
You might have
what
to
it's
cut your
meant to be
nose.
doing."
You might have to cut your glands out. That's the other thing they're trying to do.
Yeah.
You start taking your lymph node apart.
We need to just take you apart and only put some of you back together.
Something's gone wrong with you.
That's gonna sort it out. And so from that, I went back in again for another 2 weeks. They gave me like this weird neck brace thing that I had to wear so that my neck could grow back properly. And as well as that, then I had a normal neck brace, and I wore that for like 2 years or something like that. But, through that time, just got better, put on the weight and whatnot, managed to get rid of the TB. And through that time, I was just like, shout out to Orion, my cousin Straker. And we used to go around his and just freestyling, just like, then I was like, yo, I'm going to work on this style. Because like I said, now I know that I'm getting better. I'm going to get on this shit. I'm really going to get into spitting, come up with my own style, a way of rhyming, this, that, and the third, and then bam. So, that's what got me here, basically.
Did you write much in hospital?
Hospital?
When you couldn't talk, did you actually write much then?
Nah, because by then, I hadn't
You weren't writing,
style.
you weren't writing at that point.
It was more like, no, I wasn't writing it. I was just trying to get better. I didn't have as much energy.
But you just
to
come
really
out of MCing and moving into
exactly. From the whole jungle thing and all that. Like, I think that was off the tail end of going to Rinse FM and all that.
Right, yeah.
Shout out to Stamina, man. The days it was in Wiley's bedroom and all that. Where is he at? Yeah, man. So then I was just like, okay, you know, sitting in the hospital was just mainly like, just get better, because obviously, yeah, you realizing how real this thing is. I know now that I wasn't taking it that sort of serious in a sense of feeling like I was going to die, because I don't think they wanted to let me know that anyway, because I never heard that. Only when people came in to visit is when I heard that. But yeah, man, that just put that when I'm talking about lit a fire, because it's like I'm reborn. It's like I've got a second life. So I switched everything around. I was not on any of the bullshit that I was on before that. I realized how dumb it was, how stupid it was. I realized what really matters in life, and how I was on the right path in terms. My mum was always like, "Oh, you don't take life serious," and there was a reason why I was like that. Is because we don't need to take it as serious as we do. One of our problems is that we take it so serious that, you know, our egos get involved, and then now we're clashing over stuff that it don't really matter in the long run. You know what I mean? So yeah, I feel blessed going through it, and at the same time, right now, I feel even more blessed because it gave me a head start in terms of getting my head around this paradigm that we're in now. Other things happen along the way that so I got to learn about, you know, the system we're in. But because I've gone through it, they didn't want to tell me what was going on. The last thing I remember talking about with the professor was, oh, I thought that, you know, when you get those quacks for this, you're immune. And he's like, well, we now know that that isn't 100% like that. So I left it at that. People were saying that I should have gone and tried to get compensation, this, that, and the third, but I don't even want to, I'm not, you know, I got to learn that it's quite a hassle to try and do that. They don't make it easy for you to do that.
No.
So these are all signs. These are all little seeds that they're dropping. Along in your life, you're always going to get these little, you might see them, you might not. I felt blessed that I was lucky to remember the bullshit. Do you know what I mean? And so for me, I know, you know what I mean? And I'm sure a lot of people out there can work it out. How could I have caught it? What ways could I have caught that thing? There's only one way in it. And that was what I was putting up, what we put up there was from the quacks. And I remember getting it in school, everyone lining up. I don't even remember being told we were going to get it, but I remember getting that in school. And I know that is for TB and for leprosy. So that's what they have inside there. And you know what I mean? For some people, it might not be as fatal as what happened to me. But maybe something else happens that's not as bad. Who knows? For others, maybe nothing does happen. You know, like who we know. But in my opinion, when looking at life through, you know, the logical side of things. Okay, let's talk about this. What happens when you get a bit of dust in your eye?
Your eye creates some sort of goo to get rid of it, which is like sleep, basically, when you wake up with sleep in your eye. But it depends what it is. There's obviously, if you've got really like acids and alkalines, all sorts of things like that. If you get, I got an eye full of alkaline lime in my. I opened the bag of lime and it went like that, and all the dust went into my eye. And
what, lime dust?
Yeah.
What, like the
not
the skin?
No, lime as in like the stuff they mix to make mortar for buildings. So it's like it's basically chalk that's been heated up and blah blah blah, and they crush it, and then it turns into this powder that's lime. But it's strong alkaline, and that went into my eye. I washed it out really quickly, but because it's so strong, the alkaline, it burnt the cornea.
Oh,
on my eye.
Sheesh.
But the next day, I woke up with people would think it's conjunctivitis, where your eyes all stuck together, but it's actually trying to heal the eye. So it's sticking your eye together to make it heal. It's like a really strong, gluey sort of stuff. So yeah, going back to what you're saying.
Yeah, so look, check Mr. Green. He's saying, oh, it sounds like you got it on the ward now, bruv. what I'm saying is that they put it in me, they put it in my system. There's already a toxin with it. There's already a bunch of toxins with it, but it's already something that's alien to my body, right? So it's in my bloodstream. And what I'm saying is, what provoked this thing to cause the growth in my gland? Because what you're talking about is you caught it, and I'm saying, how do you catch it in a gland? Do you know what I mean? If you catch it and it's in the air, it's a respiratory thing. You get it in the lungs. So think about what you're saying when you're saying it. And basically, the ibuprofen is another form of poison that my body's taken, another alien form of material that, you know what I mean, my body doesn't know how to get rid of it. And so what your body does is it pushes it into an area. Either you secrete it, you know, you shit it out, you puke it out, you whatever, sneeze it out. It comes out in some form of mucus. Lymph glands. Or, it will go into a gland. And it's more or less sort of telling you need to detox. You need to get rid of this. Do you know what I mean?
Which is what the lymph system is, your detox pathway. That's what it is. You know, it's the gutter of the body, whereas the blood carries important stuff. The
gets all the shit out.
Yeah, your lymph system is all there to
get all of it out. And so that's how you secrete.
Junk.
You secrete through your ears, through your eyes, through your nose. And so what I'm saying is that the growth, because they're the ones who diagnosed it as that, and I went in with that. So how could I have caught it? Anyway, but this is what I'm talking about. At least if we think about what we're saying, do you know what I mean? We might be like, oh yeah, actually, because it doesn't make sense that you catch something and it just ends up in a gland and it ends up, that's not how it works. So anyway, regardless, I think make your choices, but please make an educated choice, make an educated decision. Do you know what I mean? Because, and like I'm saying, for some of us, there are reasons why we feel the way we do because we've experienced these things. And I don't just do that. I don't just like, oh yeah, because it happened to me, it could happen. Like, it obviously doesn't happen that way. There's loads of people I know that have got it, but maybe something else happens. Like your body detoxes in many different ways.
Different rates as well. People detox at different rates. So some people are really fast at detoxing. Some people not just really slow, but mentally they disable their detox pathways by being fearful and all the rest of it, you know, because that also slows down the detox pathways.
Yeah.
Well, carry on.
Yeah. Where was I? So, yeah, basically, so I think like for people like myself, it's kind of frustrating when there's people that you respect, you know, just throw in bits and bobs out there willy-nilly when it's obviously from, you know, establishments that have, you know, they're making quite a lot out of this. Do you know what I mean? And but not like the people who are telling you, yo, you need to be careful, this shit isn't as safe as you think. What are they making from it? What are they getting from that? People talk about, oh, they're getting views and they're getting, what is that compared to, you know?
They're getting their name dragged through the mud and they're losing all their family and friends. Oh, yeah. Well,
it's crazy,
see why they would do it.
Yeah. Okay, well, you know, this guy doesn't sound like he understands. That's Mr. Green? Ah, come on, bruv. Like, I don't think you're really listening to what I'm saying anyway. Yeah, see, it's basic logic, man. You know, for you to back it like that, for you to go in like that with all these crazy amount of comments, it's kind of like, you know, you probably quaxed up and, you know, you don't feel like, you know, anyone saying anything that's adverse to that is, you know, is helping you in your journey of this. Like, the bottom line is, man, you made your decisions, you know what I mean? You just feel comfortable. You should feel safe. This is, like, for me, I know that that's for sure is what's gone on because I ended up speaking to a doctor about the whole situation. And he's like, yeah, that's, you know what, it's likely that's what happened, but the best thing you could do is try and get compensation. But he said that it's a mission, you know, it's not going to be easy to do that. And I was like, boy, what's the point? Like, I don't want to go through all of that shit. You know, and you find out that that's what they do as well.
Yeah.
I'm just lucky to be alive, bruv. You know what I mean? For me, I think it's a waste of time going through all that. And it's a long time ago anyway, so I don't think I could do it now. But you know, so through my experience, I just know like certain things, you know, you got to dig deeper. Don't just accept what you're being told.
Yeah.
And I'm just glad I could get it out there so people know.
Yeah, and what I was saying about always arguing with, not always arguing with people, that comes across the wrong way. I don't mean always arguing with people. Always trying to find the other argument for something. It's led me to a place of you know, looking for. Every time I see something on the news, I'm like, oh, okay, let me look into that, see if that's true. And that led me to where I am as well, which is, you know, completely
terrain theory.
Basically, yeah. I mean, I don't know. With Mr. Green's talking about the, you know, how you get TB and all this stuff, but according to German New Medicine, which people might not have heard of,
you might not never know nothing about.
Right. Okay. There you go. The TB is created in the body to when the body's trying to detox, and there's something like cell growth that's been created in the body in order to protect something or to process some sort of toxin in the body, that the TB's there to then take away. They just carry away the the cells as they need to be removed again. So when your body creates mutant cells like cancer growths or, you know, benign or malignant tumors, that the TB is generated within the body at the site of the wound or the wound itself, and that in order to help heal the wound, the TB takes away the cells that have been created as part of the healing process. And so that's why they find TB in places where there's wounds.
Where there's wounds. See
and so what they do is they try and kill the TB, but actually what they're doing is slowing down the healing process because they're generated within the body. And that's the same with all viruses and bacterias, you know, that they're all there to do something.
Fungi.
And when you try and stop, exactly. If you go to a forest and
he's a fucking fungi, huh?
you go to a forest and look at a dead tree, so the dead tree is being eaten by everything around it, and you wouldn't then say, oh, this dead tree is being eaten by all this fungus, we've got to kill all the fungus. Because the tree's dead. You want it to just mulch down and end up as part of the forest again. And that's the same in your body. If something breaks in your body or something breaks down or needs repairing, then you let it do its job. And sometimes it's going to create funguses or bacteria or what they'll read as viruses in that area.
Cleaning it up.
And you know, it's the first places that they found like the coronavirus were all heavily polluted cities like Wuhan and Milan. Some of the most. I remember saying this back then. You know, Milan's it's the most polluted city in Europe. And guess what? Someone said, "No, it ain't. It's the third most polluted city in Europe." Okay, I'm wrong.
You met your match there, man. He wanted to argue with me, boy.
You've never met anyone like me. Yeah.
He rolls up his sleeves.
It's the third most. It was the first most polluted city in 2018, not this year.
Yeah.
That's what it was like. Yeah.
Like,
okay.
So, there you go. So, and the other thing that you know, once I all this come up, and I was like, man, is this life? Is this really going to be it? You know what I mean? When I started going to the shop and all that, I was like, yo, this can't be it. This can't be it. And then I was lucky that I got sent from my angel. I got sent some a bit of like, it was a long blog. It was a long read. And then it was this other doctor as well talking about all this stuff to do with pasture and Bachamp, and you know, I didn't know who these people were, but he's saying about pasture is a fraud, and shout out to Tom Cowan. So he's a doctor, Tom Cowan. And so for me, I was just, you know, I'm inquisitive, I'm Aquarius, you know, John the Baptist, aka John the Baptist. I like to look for knowledge. I like to learn things. You know, whether it's true or not, I'll try and decipher that by looking at more literature or whatever. And but I found that interesting, and so looking through this whole blog, there was stuff similar to what you're talking about in terms of the terrain theory as opposed to germ theory.
Yeah.
And it kind of clicked for me because it made sense as to, and Mr. Green, you'll probably like to hear this, it made sense as to how I had this lump there then. That how it wasn't caught in the air, because obviously it wouldn't be in this gland, it would be in my lungs, and I'd be breathing it, I'd be coughing and whatnot, but it was in this gland, and it was like, oh. And then I'll start to learn about how the body actually produces all these things anyway. And at the time, like you're talking about, at the time of whatever damage, when they test, this is what they're going to see. And it's bits of these things as well. It's not even like they actually get it's on its own, like, the whole isolating thing or whatever. But it made way more sense. And then through having this whole thing happen to me, I was always paranoid about catching a cold from someone. Always para. Like, someone sniffle, I'll be like, yo, go to the other side of the room. When we're on tour and all that, like, that dude in the back, I'm like, yo, bruv, come on, man. I beg you, like, ease me up. Like, stay at the back of the bus. Like, let me stay at the front. You're at the front of the bus, paranoid as shit. Oh, windows open, you know what I mean? Well, it's all winter and all that. But, that's how bad it was for me. I was, scared because obviously I got to use my voice for doing gigs. So the last thing I want is a cold while I'm up there anyway. And then just paranoid because of that, the whole thing that's happened. But so when this, the thing came about the whole terrain theory thing, I was like, right, just trying to work out whether it actually was making sense or whether it's just some quackery. You'd always had people talking about, oh, viruses aren't alive, and this thing, whatever, bro. There's people getting sick left, right, and center. And then, but like I said, it clicked when I thought about the fact that I know I didn't catch that. It wasn't like something through the lungs. In my opinion, it was through the quacks. Do you know what I mean? But it might not have been. It might have been, it's produced, to get rid of whatever's going on. We've been told that human beings have lived with viruses for years, like for millennia, like even to the point where there are more bacteria and viruses and fungi in us than there are us in us. There's more of them than us type thing, do you know what I mean? So why not? Why would it not make sense then that we're the ones producing these sicknesses and illnesses as opposed to, you're catching it from this one left, right, and center? Because like I said, there are times I'll be paranoid on the bus, and then when I think back on it, I'm like, I didn't catch anything off my man. And furthermore, no one did. Like, everyone was all right. But the problem is we're trapped in this mad paradigm that they've had us in from birth to only think of things in this way. Only look this way. Only think of it in this way, and that's it. And because of that, it goes over people's heads, like we just seen. People just don't really get what you're saying because you've never been taught to look in things that way. But there's an old saying in the shamanic world, and the saying is, your symptoms are the cure. The symptoms are the cure. So let's go back to the eye thing. You get dust in the eye. What happens? Your eye waters. You ain't even got to think about that shit, D. No. Your eye waters. Water comes out, gets the dust out. You didn't even have to think about it, lie. Dust goes up your nose. What happens?
Bogies.
You sneeze.
Yeah.
You sneeze.
Or it encapsulates it in a some sort of mucus.
Yeah. And you excrete
ball,
it.
Yeah.
You don't even have to think about it though, do you?
No.
It just does it. It just happens.
Yeah.
All right. Dust gets in your throat. Same thing. You cough. Mucus. Something helps you get it out.
Yep.
But you didn't have to go, oh, I better do that now.
No.
Your body just did it. That's the beauty of how your body's been made.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they want us to forget about that. So then think about like, okay, you cut yourself, cut your skin. What happens?
You're, right, yeah. So a load of different bacteria heads to the area, disinfects the area for you, seals it up using some sort of collagen or something, seals it up, creates a scab over it.
Seals it up.
Creates a wet environment underneath the scab, and in that wet environment you'll find all sorts of bacteria and weird stuff that's healing it and healing the skin, stitching it up for you, eating any dead skin that's there, eating any little dead cells.
But what's going on with your skin though? There's a scab on top,
yeah,
like
just
you said.
a scab.
What's the scab doing?
Just
It's protecting.
yeah,
It's stopping anything
you
from
touching
going,
it. It's stopping any dirt getting into it. It's stopping
getting anything from getting in to your skin.
Yeah.
All right, getting in to your skin.
Yeah.
That's what your skin's doing. It's stopping anything from
That's
contaminating
it.
within your skin. If you're, people are like, oh, but you could say to someone like, you eat hamburgers, yeah? What's your favorite food?
Mine
Yeah.
at the moment, hamburgers. Yeah.
So like, I don't know why they hamburgers. See the ether just
This is all scripted. No one realizes there's like a script on the wall. We weren't meant to say hamburgers. That's my line.
yeah. Wait, hamburgers? When did that? Someone change the script up in it. Hamburgers. So hamburgers. Would you, you'd eat a hamburger, but if I blended it, this is the thing about it as well. If I blended it and put it into a syringe, would you let me inject it into you?
Well, just the components that end up in your blood. You could say to me like, well, these are the only bits you need. You don't need the fibre. You don't need any of this stuff. These are the bits that are going to be in your blood in the end.
Yeah.
What I've done is reduced it down to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you can see there, all right, shit, that's a good point there, because, I think the safest quacks for you to take is orally. If you could do it orally, cool, because your body's going to naturally, hopefully, I don't know what they put in it this time now, but your body will naturally get rid of whatever shouldn't be in your body. Like, that's probably the safest way to sieve out the bullshit. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what you're likely to do. Let me answer Ollie K. He says, no. Ollie K said, terrain theory has some weight when Wikipedia says it's disproven and obsolete. Exactly, man. They're trying, bruv. What I'm telling you, the way that they're going on with this thing, you could see it. That's the green language right there. You know what I mean? They're saying it's the opposite. Whatever they give you is the opposite. But yeah, it was stamina. So he says you're thinking contaminant or an adverse reaction to something commonly found within the thing. What I'm saying is, I don't think you should take the thing through, you're piercing it through a barrier that's there to stop things from being pushed in that way anyway. For me, that's the logic right there. But for me, I think what happened was, because I was battering the ibuprofen, like I was doing it, it's for 3 months and it was like hardcore to the point that my stomach lining's all getting messed up. Ibuprofen is not grown in the ground. It's not, you can't pluck it from no tree. Like it's not natural basically. It's man-made, you know what I mean? It's not made by nature. And so my body didn't know what to do with it as I'm popping away. And then this is what happened. It manifested in the lump in my neck. Do you know what I mean?
It's trying to detox your body. Your body's not, pathways weren't detoxing fast enough. So in the meantime, it stores it somewhere.
Yeah, hey, let me put it here and just.
Which is just in your lymph nodes, or in some sort of gland or somewhere where it can just clear it out eventually. Or it just was you'd overloaded your detox pathways and it just couldn't do it.
Yeah, man. So I think for me,
What happens if you have a late night? What happens if you have if you have a late night and it gets to 4 a.m. and you're sitting up writing on the computer or whatever it is, you start sniffling.
Mm.
Oh, I feel like I'm getting a cold. Oh, I think I better go to bed.
Yeah.
Why would you a cold just got in your body while you're sitting on the computer?
Yeah.
No one else is there.
No, but what you do is, I must have got it from so and so. You link the dots. You do your best.
So-and-so had a cold 2 days ago.
Yeah. I must have got it from them.
Or you have a weekend out. You go away for a weekend, drinking, partying, Monday morning, feel like shit, getting a cold. Oh, I've just had a heavy weekend, getting a cold. It's detoxing.
Yeah.
That's all it is. That's all the cold is. The cold is your body trying to detox toxins.
Yeah.
That's it. And so when people get colds, it's usually during the winter when you've got no sunlight, which is vitamin D obviously helps detox the body. As we know, they've been going on about vitamin D for coronavirus. Why is that? Because vitamin D is a fucking natural detox for your body. You've got bad food during the winter. Not everything's processed. There's no food in the winter that you eat that's like actually either grown in the hemisphere that you're living in, grown in the country you're living in, or it's all been shipped in somewhere, or it's processed, or you haven't got any of the things you need in the food to keep yourself healthy. So if you're just not careful, and if you go drinking, smoking, New Year's Eve, all these different parties, Christmas, eating loads of food, loads of processed meat, all sorts of stuff, you're going to have to go for a detox at some point.
And a lot of the time it happens when your body goes through some kind of shock, whether it be to do temperature, or something has just got you depressed or upset, or and it's just a time when your body's just like, okay, in order to deal with this, we need to get rid of some of this.
Yeah.
But we're never told about like the phlegm and all of that stuff is just the shit that you need to get rid of.
And what happens if you do a detox? Have you ever done a full detox?
Yeah, I do intermittent fasting a lot.
But because you do that, you don't go through what they call the Herxheimer effect, which is the Herxheimer effect is when you get cold-like symptoms from detoxing too fast. So if you put yourself on a detox program and you haven't detoxed, you'll get the symptoms of flu.
Oh, wow.
It's called a Herxheimer effect, and it was because they noticed
let me look at this long list of that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you put people indoors, you stop them living active lifestyles and all that, and they're not at work anymore, not in the stressful world. Suddenly you start noticing people are getting flu or flu-like symptoms because they're not in that toxic environment of work, trains, cities, outside under chemtrail skies and all the rest of it. Suddenly,
burgers.
Yeah, there was no planes, there was no pollutants in the air or anything.
Yeah.
Suddenly people were indoors and just detoxing essentially.
Yeah.
Not couldn't go to the pub, couldn't keep up their regular drinking, all the rest of it. So at the beginning of the lockdown, you just got basically an increase in detox.
And it's interesting as well because I remember at the end of 2019, I did the tour, the Pete Tong and Heritage Orchestra tour, and there's a couple people on the bus that had the sniffles like the last couple days, and usually it would be loads of people would be ill, and you just kind of think, oh shit, everyone's catching it, but you forget like, nah man, you're touring, you're eating shit, hardly sleeping, drinking, doing this, that and the third.
Yeah.
And then for me, I got ill, I was like 3 weeks or something like that, but it was a weird ill. It was like just chesty cough. Shout out to Chesty Cough.
Russian dissident writer.
Yeah, it was just like, I just had this like, every now and again I'd be like, and then it would come up with this like thick, it wasn't normal. It didn't feel normal, but everything else was fine. I wasn't like feeling ill or sniffles.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was just a thing in the lungs. And then after 3 weeks, it was gone. And then, so, when this shit popped off, I was like, right, maybe I had it then, maybe. Then I started learning about this stuff, and I was like, I was on tour. Of course I'm going to, like, detox all that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whoa. Is that right? Yeah. So it's interesting, man, and it's only through, like, looking more and more into it and trying to understand it a bit more that, because it's a paradigm shift. That's the thing. I don't blame anyone who's like, what the fuck are they talking about? How do you... it's a paradigm shift. And the only way you can really get there, someone said it before, is through your own experience. I can't see the comment now, but someone mentioned it before. You only really find out these things through your own experience. And that's for me, these are some of my experiences in terms of like, this all making sense to me now as to what's happening. And it's dark. It's like not everybody will want to face the reality of it. That it's been really hard to accept that. Do you know what I mean? But I think everything's happening for a reason, for real. It's a shame that majority of the people don't really want to even get off the fence. They don't even want to. It seems like they don't even want to know. But I think it's up to us who do that. We do our best to just, let
talk about it openly.
And just keep people in the right frame of mind, man. I think an open mind is the first thing. Try and pick up the trivium and quadrivium if you can, because that'll probably help you just to suss out like how we've been manipulated through words, through education, through doctrines, indoctrination, whether it be the religion thing or sports or whatever, politics and whatnot. And you kind of get an idea of how the world managed to get to this sort of place where mother lovers are still confused out there. I don't give a fuck. If you're still confused as to what's going on after a year and a half, then you better start asking some questions for real, because it doesn't make any sense, man. Yeah, boy. The trivium. Yeah, let's try and get a link to it. And
Tor, Stamina saying Tor is a 4-letter word these times. Taras.
Tor, yeah, exactly, boy. You know what I mean,
such
man,
a shame.
We ain't getting to Tor now.
Touring is where you test, the real test is done of the artist. You can do little shows in your hometown every month, but doing something day after day or night after night in lots of different places, getting reactions from people in different towns and different countries even, that's where you really actually get to see what you're worth, whether you can handle being a musician, being an artist.
This is where you get to learn. In my opinion, man, I feel blessed, bruv, that I've managed to I've been to Australia 14 times. I've been to New Zealand, 7, 8 times, and the thing is, I've been up China a couple times. It's like you get to see the world. You get to see how other people live, how they understand the world, how they see it, how they communicate, all these different things. I remember going to Australia and seeing they had this thing called FPOS. It's called FPOS, bro. Yeah, can't be buying FPOS, bro. I was like, what's FPOS? And the guy would now you're going to laugh because you're like, the guy got his card out and put it in the thing and then paid like that. Just put his pin in and paid like that. And I was like, huh? I was like, what? No. He swiped it. Then he swiped it. It wasn't even put. He swiped it and then he put his pin in and he paid. I was like, right, what's that? Oh, it's FPOS, bro. You don't know about FPOS. I was like, no, we didn't have that here yet. And then about a year and a half or something like that later, then I see it. And I was like, oh, so they must just test it out in places like Australia. Then when they, to see if it works. And then, you know what I mean?
The other side of the world where most people won't see it. Try it out.
They might not never know nothing about this. You know what I mean? Yeah, all stuff like that. And obviously because you're on long journeys and you buy books and whatnot, so it's great reading, secret teachings and things like that that open your mind up. What's the guy who wrote the book about water? That was a really good read as well. But these things sort of open up your mind to, the world that you, on the estate, you ain't talking about that shit. Or in the studio, you're not necessarily talking about them sort of things. But because you're traveling and you're seeing all these different traditions and ways of the world, why do they drive on the other side of the road though? Oh, right, they like to eat this when they're, Portugal and places like that. Like, yo, this is way better than Nando's.
They eat fish's eyes.
Yeah, fish's eyes, you get me? So, you know what I mean? I don't think I'd ever tried gourmet kangaroo meat, unless I went Australia. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's I think it's a thing that's so important, man. And boy, if once they open the borders up, man, it's definitely worth us doing our best to get back out there again. But I feel blessed because of that. Like, because I've learned so much throughout traveling, I think my mind is way more open to things than a lot of people, that I know.
Yeah.
So I feel lucky for that.
That's why it's important for that's another important part of touring, definitely, is that you're getting to see, you get inserted into the community in the place where you are. So you'll land somewhere and within an hour you're inside the community. You're not a tourist visiting somewhere, just going like, oh, look at that building. Oh, I wonder where the cool people go. And suddenly you're just there. Yeah. And you're meeting all of the people who are part of the scene and part of that community that's already set up there. So you're not a tourist. So within every night of the week, you do a 7-night tour. Each night you're in a different place, seeing exactly what's happening. You're not just seeing the tourist version of it. You're not going to Buckingham Palace in every city. You're going to the littlest dive in every city. Yeah. And just getting to meet people who are really feeling what's going on there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, of course I'm scarred by it, Mr. Green. You see this? I just put the scar up there, bruv. I don't understand what my man's juggling is like. Hey, you with us or you not? You let us know. We don't give a fuck. Come on, man. You know how it is out here. Shout out to Ollie K. Shout out to High Wycombe, yeah? High Wycombe in the building, boy. You know what I mean? Shout out to my Slough Town crew. Maidenhead, yeah. Yeah, man, you're right. Stamina's right, man. Proving ground. Hitting that stage in front of people that might never have known nothing about you. Boy, I've done some. I remember doing a gig with Mark de Clive Lowe, who's like he's this crazy jazz musician type, new jazz vibe. He's one of them octopus men with like bare keyboards and drum machines and all type of shit around him. And we used to do these gigs where it was freestyle. It would be like 4 hours or something. 4 hours, something, long ass set anyway. And we're just making up the tunes. We've got 3 singers and then me and him. And we're just making up the shit as we're going and making up choruses. Man, just vibes. But that jazz that's where the jazz comes in. And he had a gig in Australia and it was one of his it was in this warehouse. Them spots where it's like a kind of medium-sized warehouse or small warehouse, I should say, that's someone's room as well. But then they put on little events and that. So yeah, he was playing there, and it was one of them mad ones where everyone's sitting on the floor. So when we walked in, he's like, "Yeah, come over, man." And I was like, "All right, cool." Went over there, and it's like, right. And we went to go jump. I feel like Shan was with me. I think Lady Shan was with me, and. Yeah, we jumped on, man, but I was like, I can't do this with you like sitting down. Get up, man. Everyone stood up. And then we just rocked it out. And after the guy whose gig it was, he's like, oh, this is the first time people have stood up in the gig. It was funny, man. Yeah, man. So, boy, let's get out there, man. As much as we can. Who's got a speedboat out there? Someone, boy. They're saying they ain't letting us out unless we're quaxed up. You know what I mean? We might have to send Mr. Green out there. Yeah, it's true. It don't mean you were right, but it don't mean you are either. You know what I mean? Just because you don't believe it doesn't mean there's no truth to it. That's all I'm saying. I'm really I made the mistake of going back and forth with people, and that's the big mistake because I'm just. What you're doing is provoking, separation, and especially when it's like both of us should be educated on the same level, and then we can talk about it. But if it's like I've been looking at bruv, all these books and all that. I don't even need to bring out my books, man. All these books that I've been buying just to get my head around how do you get here? You got to look at the past and work your way here. And just to see that, you're like, oh, I get it now. I understand why, my man will still be commenting, saying stuff like that. It's because you don't even, you haven't even seen what, you know what I mean? There's a whole world out there.
The corruption that went on at the very beginning with the, like we were saying earlier, germ theory, it's still just a theory, germ theory. It's just because there's there's so many people have built on top of that original.
Yeah.
That original theory has been built on top of with other theories that now no one questions the original theory.
Whether it's real or not. Yeah, they
So
think
you
it's
go to
fact.
doctor school and they go, okay, so with germ theory, this, and then day 2, they just don't even talk about it ever again.
I tell you what I tell people it's like to get your head around, how are all these people wrong then? How are they all doing something wrong? They don't think they're doing anything wrong.
No.
Some of them may know, but a lot of them believe they're doing something right. And that's how everything's inverted. That's how you switch it up. Like I'm saying, if your people, bruv, if your government cared about you, you think they're going to have all these fucked up sweets and all these non-food, all these things that are not nutritious, they're going to just have because you have free will. Well, it's your choice. Well, if you know that it's our choice and we might make the wrong choice, why would you give us that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But people, no, man. So whatever. But what it's like is like they say to them, so imagine I'm going, here's the alphabet from A to Z, yeah? So A, we start off with A. Now A is shaped somewhat like, it's shaped like this, like a triangle, and then there's a cross there, and A starts the alphabet, and then it moves on to B. Now B is, as you can see, B is shaped like boobs, and the first, and then go mad deep on B, then move on to C. C now is C, all this mad shit until you get all the way to Z, but they never actually ask, why is A the beginning? Why does it start? Why is it shaped like this? They never ask, like, how did you get to A? Let's work out whether their theory on A is correct. So we understand how their thought process. They don't do that. They just move on to the rest. And this happened back in 1910, I think it was, with the American Medical Association takeover, and then they just wiped out there were people doing what we do now as the allopathic. You had a bunch of people doing that, but then you had people doing Ayurvedic, traditional Chinese, shamanic, what they started to call quackery, like, these people are crazy, herbs and but that's how it started, and then moved on into like, but how can I get rid of this petroleum, this waste product from this, from
and look at who funded the germ theory, the pushing of germ theory. Look at who's look at who funds things. That's another way of finding out.
Follow the money.
Follow the money. Well, it is that. It's a cliche, but it is still true. Follow the money.
Follow the money. Hey, follow the money. Hey,
yeah.
go, follow the money. Yeah. That could be a hit now.
Yeah.
So what's yeah? Well, I mean, yeah, I was just trying to read the comments and see what. Yeah, I think people get it anyway, man. Stamina. I hope I answered your question there with that, by the way.
And Stamina's right. Dogma might just be our societal undoing. Yeah. But then that's part of who we are. Obviously, part of being a human is that you like dogmas. Otherwise, we wouldn't have so many dogmas as a human. So there must be something in it, and it's
God.
Going back to the idea that the cure is in the what did you say it was? The symptoms.
The symptoms are the cure.
Right.
And
so
think about what we were just talking about, from the crying eyes, the snort, everything that they tell you you're sick. When you got diarrhea, you eat something bad, what happens? You shit it all out. But they'll go, oh, you're sick. Or we say, oh shit, I'm not well because of the diarrhea. You're doing well. If you're getting rid of it, that's actually a good thing. You got to allow that to happen.
Exactly.
But instead they go, here, take this thing that isn't grown from the ground, that isn't natural,
right.
and that will stop you from doing what you're doing to detox.
And according to German New Medicine, that when you're showing the signs of what germ theory calls illness, is actually that's the healing happening. So when you're expelling something, that's because you're healing from it. Or when you're bleeding out, that's because you're healing from something. So so if people find, say someone finds like blood in their stool, and then they think, oh no, I've got something wrong with me. They go to the doctor, and the doctor, oh yeah, we're going to put tests on you. But actually, that blood coming out is the healing process. It's pushing out any of the blood that it can get out. It's trying to heal. Yeah. The same as when you're coughing stuff up. You're coughing stuff up to heal the lungs. The lungs are healing while you're coughing up. So the worst thing you can do is put a mask on. when you're coughing stuff up.
Bruh.
Because the cough, you want to cough. Cough is a good. If you're coughing, that's a good sign. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's there, and this is. I'm gonna try and post the trivium thing because someone asked about it. The book. Just look. Right, for some reason these look.
Reagantology. The new symptoms are the old hay fever. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
It's sad, man. It's but and like I said, man, I totally get it. I definitely get it now. It was definitely frustrating because when I'm sure you lot know about this. You find out something new and you're like, rah. Tubalicious. What are you saying, Tubbs? Turbo-tubalicious. That's hilarious, man. Do you know what I thought that said? Turbo-tuberculosis. Hilarious. What are you saying, T? Yeah, man. What was I going to say? Sorry, man. That threw me off. What was he talking about?
The new symptoms of the old hay fever.
Yeah. And it's like everything. Anything you can think of about feeling ill, that's on the list, boy. People still like, no, I think. Yeah. And I'm like, yo, everyone knows the trick of, when you take medicine when you was a kid, you hold your nose, innit? So you don't taste it. So, like, virtually every time you're ill, your nose gets blocked. You can't taste anything. But this time, no, man, and you know why? Because they said it. They told you this is that long ass.
Yeah.
That long ass list of symptoms. And another thing about your body, when you can't taste anything, when you're ill and you don't have the taste for anything, that's your body telling you don't eat because we're detoxing. If you eat now, we got to put more work in. You can't do that right now, but we've already been sorting, you know what I mean?
Other things.
Yeah, man. So
the last thing you need is a government robot DNA thing teaching your cells how to create fucking spike things that you don't know what they are. It's the last thing you need.
Yeah. You don't need all that, man. You know what I mean?
But it's the way they talk about it. The way they talk about it is they're going to come in and teach your cell. They're going to teach your cells how to do. It's not a school. This isn't. You know what I mean? It's not going to get in your body and teach it something. That's not how your body works. You don't go in like, oh, right, now we set up the whiteboard, and then we've got the whiteboard, and we're gonna. This is what a spike protein is. Okay, so we're gonna learn how to make spike proteins, and then I'm gonna just destroy myself. Bye. Kill myself. Disappear. I've taught you everything you need to know. Do it on your own now. That's not how it works. That's why there's people. I heard about this weekend. There's a festival on. Is there some sort of testival?
Is it? Is that what they call it?
No, I don't think they are. I think it's like Download Festival or something. The Download Festival, where they're testing everybody every day at the festival.
Oh fuck!
Right. So a friend of a friend. This is a friend of a friend story, so you know it's bullshit.
Yeah.
A friend of a friend went to the festival.
No, sorry, this is anecdotal, so it doesn't really.
She had already had the vaccine, quaccine.
It's too late, do you? You go.
And so she tested positive on the Saturday.
What? Because of the quacks, or because?
No. After being out at the festival, you test. You have to test clear to go to the festival. So she tested clear. Then Friday, tests clear. Goes and drinks, partying all night, festival, raving, etc. Saturday, tests for positive. Even though she's got the quacks and all that.
Wow, boy, that's. What do you do? What do you do? Do you carry on?
You fucking isolate. You selfish motherfucker.
Do you carry on just thinking, oh, yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. But deep down, no, it don't make sense.
No.
Like, you just carry on. You know, this is the world we're in. It's like, happy birthday, your ma. Yo. So, yeah, man, I really feel good being able to share that story with you lot, because I've never really got to chat about it. If you missed out, then obviously just rewind and, just have a think, man. I'd say for a lot of people out there, if you want to get more info, just hit us up, man. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that I could send you. I think it's important for you not to just accept, let alone what I'm saying or what Dee's saying, but even the stuff that you do read or watch or whatever or listen to, like, you don't just take that for its word. Like, you also go and look into whether there's any factual information there. As well as, like, you got to keep a vigilant eye out, man. Like I said, there's the green language in it, the way you can suss out whether this is legit or not, like whether it's honest or not. I don't think everybody can get it like straight away, but after a while you start to see these patterns. I've always been blessed with noticing patterns and whatnot. Obviously, that's the rhyme thing. So people, the patterns, yeah. So, you know, there are things that pop up for me that I see, and, you know, I just think, yeah, it's quite obvious now that the game done changed. You know, these lot have turned it up. I don't know what hip-hop people were listening to back in the day, but the hip-hop I was listening to was kind of warning me about these times, man.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I remember, what's the line from Even De La Soul? What was it? Oh, experiments with needle with skin connect. No wonder where we live is called the projects. You know what I mean? So you're like, oh, that's what he was talking about. Oh, that's what he was talking about. Yeah. But yeah, man, appreciate you, mother lovers. Let me try and leave out on let me give them a little bar, innit, before we bounce. What we got?
You can look to the camera.
Oh, yeah. I forgot the camera's there. This thing's in the way. I should have. Right, I was kind of, yeah, there you go. At the end of the show, that's when we'll sort it out. You know what I mean? Right, what we got? All right. It's full time these little kids become aware of this. My boy Lanny's influence on other areas. About the stories untold, songs unsung. I give you one and let me tell you all what Lan done. He thought no other was loving him like his Alice till she stood him up, said she was bucking him by the palace. He never knew his Alice was a stinking liar till word got back to him. She was Lincolnshire and old Lanny couldn't live with that. So he planned to get rid of Shire in time, hoping that he wins her back. Staring up as if he's waiting for the sun to land. He had to bring the bell fast, claimed he couldn't understand. Called his man Chester to tell him what he's got planned, and he should be ready to move as soon as Scott lands. Scott was due out soon. Too bad they called the cops who set him up to have the same gun that got all the shot. He foiled the plot though. He weren't even bothered because he had the same lawyer that Lunny had let Peter borrow, and Peter was a true rascal that's out now puffing gold as green while building a new castle. Shall I carry on?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can carry on.
Yeah.
Wait. Shout out to you more. Happy birthday, you more. Let's make sure we get this right, yeah? So by now, Lunny knew things were getting real. He put down the phone after finding out at Chesterfield, who was a hitman, the best to hire. He didn't respect Lunny much, but gladly showed Leicestershire. Soon as he heard about the bastard, he had to laugh. So he'd be quick to pull his card if he had the chance. Said he was standing ready, and anyone trying to play Iron Man would turn into a hollow tin Canterbury. So he knew Chester would want to hit him quicker since years back when someone had shot him in his Liverpool, blood was on the floor. Looked up and all he saw was this boy Warwickshire's buddy running through the door. And this all happened on Anfield with 30 guys shirt and tied up, looking like they were on Merseyside. So Mersey too would have the quick ending. That's how Colchester's thoughts were assembling. The Hammersmith lent him. Gunshots. Hey, appreciate you mother lovers, man. Thanks for locking in to the Something You Might Not Never Know Nothing About podcast. We'll be back here again next week. We're going to try our best to do it from 9 to 11. But you know how it goes, man. Any questions you lot got, man, just hit me up in the comments and we'll answer them next week. Please like, subscribe, share this mother lover. You know, we're trying to build it up into something special. Hopefully, I should have a guest next week. I don't know how it goes, you know what I mean? It might happen, it might not. We'll see how it goes. Shout out to Ollie K. Shout out to your more. Happy birthday. Reagantology. We appreciate you mother lovers. Tubby Turbolicious. You like how I flipped that, yeah? Shout out to Mr. Green, you know what I mean? I'm glad that you stayed with us and, you know, it's good to go back and forth. Stamina, big up my brother. Thanks for locking in. DJ Locke, Black Einstein. All you bitches and bitchettes out there, we'll be back for another one. Bye.